I just do that long enough to assume that we are actually live streaming. And then I can say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome wherever you are from around the world. It is Saturday, what is today? The 8th of January, 2022. And it's time for the Virtual Pipe Club weekly meeting. We have not had a weekly meeting for a few weeks. We've been off on holiday hiatus. So today is the first day that we're back. And I'm joined by all these beautiful, healthy, intelligent, wise.
Hello, everybody.
Gentlemen, as part of the Zoom Room crew. And by the way, we're also live streaming directly to Facebook and to YouTube. I want to say good morning to all of you guys out there. And if you're watching, I'm watching the comments too. So throw up a comment. Tell us who you are and where you're from. What are you smoking? All that kind of stuff. It feels so out of practice. I don't know how to get started again. Today, as usual, we are going to start off with our weekly tradition of sharing what it is that we're smoking and what we're smoking it in for the day. So we'll go around the room in a second here, and my good friend Miguel will help me with that. The great one in Australia, Stuart, maybe you know him. He says, good morning and Happy New Year. And then after we do our round the room ritual, we have a very special guest today, a guest who's been on our show a couple times before. You know how on Saturday Night Live, if you're a guest more than 5 times, you get a special jacket. So our guest is working towards his special jacket. And that wonderful person, it's Brian Levine from the Pipes Magazine radio show. And we're going to talk about stuff. And I'm not even going to tell you what that stuff is until we get there. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm gonna go get my pipe. And by the way, I just want to say, I really missed you guys. I really missed everybody here. And, I'm glad to see you all again, and we're gonna have some fun today. All right, Miguel, would you be so kind as to take it away?
Yes, sir. Today, I'm smoking my Hans Former Nelson signature apple, and with old backfired. And on the second round, if need be, I'll smoke a Tom Elton rusticated poker virgin, and of course with Orly golden slots. I'll pass the pipe to John Plunkett from North Carolina.
Thank you, Miguel. It's good to see everybody again. Today I am smoking in one of my Petersons here. This is one of the first Petersons I purchased. I bought this probably 1987. I'm not sure of the year, but I do remember where, because I bought it at a tobacconist that was in the Galleria in Dallas, Texas. I was there to do a presentation for a software conference. So today I am smoking Triple Crown, which is an English blend. It comes from Milan Tobacconist in Roanoke, Virginia. Milan's been around since 1912. It's been owned by several people. I worked in Roanoke. It was right down the street from my office. So I used to drop by it frequently. This is, it's in English. It's a lot of Kia. It's Black Cavendish. It's Oriental, Turkish blend. It's a really mild English, though. It's got relatively low nicotine hit, and it's dubbed as being an all-day tobacco. I've been smoking this probably 30 years or so, and it's a good, I recommend it. So let me pass the virtual pipe on to David Klein down in Florida.
Thank you, John. I guess you can hear me now. But anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. It's good to see all your smiling faces. And So yeah, it's kind of a nice day here in Florida. I've got all the doors and windows open, so my stinky pipe smoke is going outside. But anyway, look at that. I'm smoking the new club pipe, which matches my t-shirt. And so in it, I've got some Newminster number 400 Superior Navy slices, which is very good, very tasty. And after that, if I have time, I might switch to this other pipe, which is relatively new. It's a Tsuge pipe with a urushi painting of cherry blossoms on it. And this is a fun pipe too. And so anyway, again, greetings to everybody. And let me pass this off to, how about Stuart in Australia? How you doing, Stuart?
Thanks, Dave. Really well. Happy New Year, everyone. This morning I'm smoking my new most favourite pipe, the Peterson Pipe of the Year 2021. I was fortunate enough to grab one of the terracottas, and it's a fantastic smoke. I've been really enjoying it, and it's sort of been the pipe of choice, surpassing my 302 spigot. But closely behind that is I'm going to take out for its inaugural run the club pipe of 21, and looking forward to that. And the tobacco of choice will be Samuel Gaywith's squadron leader, so a nice English. So with that, I'll pass it on to Alvin. How are you going in Texas there?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am smoking my Peterson 4AB, and I am having some HU English breakfast in it from HU Tobacco, Hans Wiederman. And I'm going to switch, though, in a minute. I started smoking this before we came on, to some Wilkie 515, which is the blend that Basil Rathbone smoked. So that'll be, I have that in this pipe shortly. And I'll have a backup as my club pipe. I'm going to have time. I'm going to get something started in it. And I'll tell you, it's just quickly, this is actually a freak of nature. I have this pipe. My son-in-law, who knows nothing about pipes, went to a tobacco shop in Grapevine and just asked the tobacco owner, I don't know anything about pipes. What should I get my father-in-law? And he recommended, well, I was able to get 2 of these, and that's only 2 I could get. I'd recommend one of these. So he got it for me. So how lucky for me. So at any rate, great pipe. Very, never thought I'd have a 4AB actually. So any rate, great smoker too. I agree. Tim is a great smoker. Matter of fact, I'll punch it on to Tim. Tim, go take it on.
Thank you, Alvin. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new year. It's kind of cold up here in Massachusetts. Had about maybe 8 inches of snow last night. So, and it's starting to freeze over. So it's going to be around here for a while. So anyway, I am also smoking my Peterson Pipe of the Year 4AB. Alvin and Stuart and I, we got on the phone last night, and just like some teenage girls before school the next day, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? I said, what are you smoking tomorrow? What are you smoking? We all did that. So anyway, it is a wonderful pipe. It was a little bit hard to acquire. I missed out. I had one in my shopping cart from one vendor and found out later the next day that it was actually sold twice. So I had to go scurrying and managed to find one at GQ Tobaccos. So I'm very happy to have this wonderful pipe. In it, I'm smoking this Bothy Flake from Samuel Gawith. Nice tobacco. It's, Virginia with some whiskey and some Latakia. Nice tobacco. And after that, I want to show you guys this. I'm going to go to this Dunhill. It's kind of like a pot shape, but it's got some really nice sandblast on it. Really nice ring grain. I bought this in a pipe shop in Brookline, Mass. About 10 years ago. I was really intrigued by the blast. I thought it was really awesome. And
Beautiful pipe there.
Thank you. I'm probably going to put an English in that. Probably some early morning pipe, because I like to move. Sometimes I move towards the early morning pipe later in the day. So I know it's against the rules, but it is what it is. So anyway, with that, I would like to pass the virtual pipe on to David Martinez. Hello, David.
Thank you, Tim, and Happy New Year to everybody. I'm smoking, to make it short, an Ashton. You've probably seen this one before. It's a Spigot with a wonderful tobacco courtesy of Tim Heineck, of course. It's from the Watts City in Massachusetts, from Ernest, and it's a 558. It's like a really stove Virginia's with a touch of Perique. It's like, if you can see on the back, it's kind of like a cake. I don't know, see how you can see it. You see it okay, but it's like a cake. So that's what I'm smoking. I'm thinking to do. What's next on the list? Let's get Glenn next.
Hi, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to the crew. Today I'm smoking a Pioneer Meerschaum. I believe this is an African Meerschaum. It's got a nice pattern to it, deep rustication, and nice cool smoker. And I cracked a tin of peas, Charing Cross. I've had it for about 10 years, never opened it. I opened it a couple of days ago and put it into glass jar, and I can't believe how good this tobacco is. It's a Balkan, just extremely smooth, very good smoke. Can't believe I waited this long, but that's the way it goes sometimes. And I'll pass the pipe on to Randall.
Thank you very much, Glenn. And Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you all had a good and positive experience on the New Year. Well, it's really cold out here in Wisconsin today, last few days, and getting colder. They're talking somewhere approaching 10 below zero for Sunday night. So that kind of limits me to in the house because the smoking room is in the garage and it's just too wicked out there. But I got a brand new, never had one before, a moonshine pipe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is kind of their economy version. It's really, I think it's competition for Bones. It's a nice light sandblast. It's diminutive. It's not a big pipe, but it's got a terrific stem on it. And looking forward to that. And we're doing some rhythm and blues from Ernie at good old Watch City. It's a nice light vapor, easy on the Perique. And just yesterday, I received this wonderful little piece here. You're all familiar with that. Never saw a pipe like this, never handled a pipe like this. It was sitting on hold through DHL in Milwaukee for a week. I don't know what that's all about, but it's about as heavy as a toothpick in your mouth. It's just wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. Very exciting. Can't wait till we see what next year brings us. Let's see, who's out there? How about Ramachandran? How are you doing?
Thank you, Randall. Very, very happy New Year to all. So today, on this very first meeting of a brand new year, I am smoking a brand new pipe for the first time, a 7LE 606 EX size, Hercules size. And in that, I'm smoking McBaron's HH ODF. And if I'm able to pull through, which is very doubtful, it's a huge size, my next one would be in this Meerschaum golf size Meerschaum on a Falcon stem. And in it, I have put a Latakia Virginia house blend brought from one of my friends in the US, house blend from a tobacco shop in US. And that would be my next. So with that, I'll now pass it on to Dimitri.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm finishing my cigar. It's Congress from Platinum Nova, and as soon as I'm done with that, I'll switch to my club pipe of the year. I actually received it on December 31st, but I didn't smoke it yet. Was saving it for this meeting. And I'll be smoking McClelland 3 Oak Syrian.
Wow.
And let me pass the pipe to Marek. Marek, please tell us where you're from, what you're smoking, and what you're smoking.
Hello,
again.
everyone. Happy New Year. I'm from Poland and currently in Poland. And today I'm smoking.
Nowego Roku.
Yeah. Welcome, Marek.
Dziękuję nawzajem. Likewise, brothers. Okay. And today I'll be smoking twin pipes, really, both Fat Bobs from Brebbia, I believe, is an Italian company. And the one that I'm smoking now, I'm smoking Cabis Mixture, classic from Samuel Garrett, very good vapor, very well balanced and very well matured. This one is 2 years old and it's very sweet. It's sort of, it reminds me of sort of a sweet wine taste a little bit. Not so sweet in sugar, but well matured wine, maybe wrong description. And second tobacco is also Samuel Garrett is Skiff Mixture, Orientals with Latakia and bit of Virginia. Very good, very friendly tobacco. And I'll pass on the pipe on to Darren from Texas, I think.
Darren's talking
Darren,
during
you're on
class.
mute.
Whoops, I'm muted there. I was saying Darren's talking during class. So, Darren, there you are. Okay, you got a little warble in your in your audio there. Just to let you know.
I haven't seen those teams in years.
Okay, Darren, I love you. You know that, but we're having so much trouble with your audio that we're gonna shove it on there. Steve Spent. Let's just go right to you there.
All right, thanks, DDR. Hey, welcome to 2022, everybody. Great to see all of you. I hope everyone had a safe and enjoyable holiday season. And Alvin, congratulations on the 4AB. I certainly missed the opportunity to try to get in on one of those, and I kind of regret it.
Actually, I would have too, hadn't been for my son-in-law. I don't know how he did it. So
amazing looking pipe. Maybe there'll be an opportunity to get one down the road. We'll see. But anyway, today, smoking the new 2021 club pipe. I received one day last week. I think this is maybe my third bowl through it. Smoking some Escudo in it today. Love how light this pipe is. Seems to be a really great smoker. I think I'm really going to get a lot of enjoyment out of this pipe. Having said that, I'll pass it up the road to my friend Kent, Wheeled Piper 2.
Well, thank you, Steve. Yeah, it's nice to have people this close, even though in these days it's hard to get together. So today am smoking my toothpick, Randall. It's a slightly different toothpick. This is it was called a sailor at the time. They later changed it to a compass pipe, and it weighs just 2 grams more than the club pipe. And in it, I have some, and it's very clenchable. I've got some Aaron Moore loaded in it, and enjoying that. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to switch to a different Meerschaum. This is my figural Bavarian, and he's smoking a pipe, and I will be too. In it, will have some cinnamon roll. It's one of my blends. So with that, let's see. Glenn, you went, right? And so Ivan, you're up.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. Here I'm in London, where the weather is, I think, unusually mild for this time of year, despite the rain. But yes, smoking our new club pipe, and incredibly delighted with the way it looks to begin with, the way it feels, the lightness of it, and to me, an unusually light and sort of refreshing smoke through it. I've never had a Meerschaum. This is my first. And I'm incredibly pleased with it. I've put through some tobacco from my local tobacconist in Covent Garden that has got some sort of perique mix. It's a perfect smoker, so I'm really pleased with that. Very good to see everyone. And with that, let's get going to whoever's next. I can't see anyone's hand necessarily up.
Well, why don't we go to if you don't mind, actually, Ivan, why don't we go to Dennis?
All right.
Hello, everyone. I actually didn't have my hand up because everything is nice and quiet over here for a change. It is also cold here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I apologize that I had to say Happy New Year to Marek when I found out he was in Poland. I had to shout it out. I don't even know if I pronounced it correctly, Marek. But nonetheless, Happy New Year, everyone. As it's obvious what I'm smoking, but I got a vapor in here, and that's what I think I'm going to do is dedicate this little beauty to vapors, because this thing is such a gorgeous smoke. It's real nice. I ain't complaining at all. As everybody's saying, it's the lightest pipe I think I've ever handled. It's a lovely minimalist pipe. One could call it almost aerospace for that matter, the way it looks. But nonetheless, this is great. Thank you, everybody, for when we got this order together. I mean, this is my 6th Meerschaum, and this is my best Meerschaum by far. Anyway, Miguel, you want to take over?
Sure, Dennis. Why don't we go to Steve from Colorado?
Sure. I was going to let everybody go, but I'm smoking a 7LA. I think it's a 306 Capri Briar. I just love the texture on these. They're on the rustication, and the saddle stem is real comfortable for me to smoke. Smoking some early morning pipe. It's dreary and rainy here in Colorado this morning, although the sun's supposed to come out this afternoon. So I'm under the roof. And haven't been here for a while, so it's good to see everybody's faces again. Thanks. And I see some hands up, but I also know they've already gone.
If you want me to help you, Steve, we can.
Yeah, please. There's only 23 of us here today, so.
Yeah, we can go to Ian Reid in the UK.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm also in London. You can see what pipe I'm smoking. Happy New Year, everyone. I've got some Peterson Irish flake in this pipe. I agree, it's a very good smoke and a very light pipe. It's excellent. And I
Ian, we
You're on
lost your
mute.
audio.
Brian Levine, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we'll wait to make sure we know what Brian is smoking when we introduce him as the speaker today. I guess with all the hands down, except for Brian, that leaves it back to me. So I'll share a couple of things and a couple of pieces of news that I just found out about while you guys were sharing your pipes. So first of all, I'm not smoking because I'm inside the house here. Like I said, I just got the computers and everything set up, and I don't have. So for those of you who don't know, I moved over the break, and we're now in Seattle, which means that I will soon attempt to apply for membership at the Seattle Pipe Club because, why not? They're a great group of guys.
And you'll be getting the best tobacco.
And they have some terrific tobaccos. That's right. Speaking of tobaccos, by the way, now that I'm in Washington, any of you who would like to help me with, the smuggling project, just let me know.
DDR, you have to buy another pipe every year. The Seattle pipe, they have a good pipe every year.
I'm gonna make sure that I see if I can get in on that. So I do have another little outbuilding in this new house. It's just perfect for a little smoking den. And I've been slowly unpacking. I haven't unpacked, cooking utensils, but I have unpacked my pipes and tobacco. So you know where my priorities lie. So I was out there this morning and I was smoking this little Stanwell here, which is a very modest size, little cute little petite pipe, but it's got a really big bowl capacity. So it was a nice long smoke. And Tim, I guess was it you? I went for early morning pipe myself this morning as my tobacco of choice. It was just, I had all the jars taken out of the boxes and put up on the shelf, and it was just calling to me. Early morning pipe.
Good blend.
If I have the opportunity to go, if I have the opportunity to get some specific things done this afternoon, I am going to unbox the club pipe for 2021. Now, I have specifically not unboxed it and smoked it yet because just so that we're always in full transparency, about 2 weeks ago, I guess, so it was like literally on Christmas Eve, sent the money to Said Altanay in Turkey using a money exchange. And then like a week ago, they sent it back to me and says, sorry, it didn't go through. So I have to go back to the bank and see if we can, get it to fix whatever was the problem. And so I made a commitment to myself not to smoke it until I know that he's paid. Now, you guys, that doesn't affect you. I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying your club pipe just for me because I want to be, sort of carry through on my promises. So just so that you know, but I can't wait. It was a very hard thing not to smoke it when it came. The other bit of news that I did not know until reading the comments, Briar Report magazine, what do they call this? The Briar Report congratulated us because for the second year in a row, we have been named the best pipe club of the year. What do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, you better believe it.
Well,
That's awesome.
It's really an honor considering how many, considering we're not the only pipe club, that there's others out there. It really is a distinction.
I think we should all congratulate ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, because of you guys.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
very happy
I
about
agree,
it, but
Miguel.
I'm not surprised at all.
it's a great honor considering that there are so many pipe clubs like Seattle, New York, and so many other, and still we have been able to get this honor. That's a great. I feel a sense of pride to be a part of this group.
I am very, I'm very touched and very honored. Here are some of the other clubs that received honorable mentions. So the guys that were also nominated for this award. So the Red Hood Secret Club. I don't know this club, but I have got to go check them out just because of the name.
Well, they're secret. So how do we know about
I
it?
don't know. That's right.
That's right.
Spokane Pipe Club, the North Texas Briar Club, the Austin Pipe Club. So, Alvin, we were in competition, I guess. And the Chicagoland Pipe Collectors Club, a biggie, a strong contender. And so, yes, we are very honored to, golly, that's just, yeah. Joseph was over there on the, watching on YouTube, and he says, "Get the champagne." Yes, I agree. Well, speaking of celebrations, I'm going to celebrate our guest speaker for the day. Brian Levine is the host of the Pipes Magazine radio show. Brian, how many years in a row has this been?
486 weeks in a row.
486 weeks in a row. So just for those of you who are trying to do the math in your head, that's 11 years? No, 10 and a half years?
9 years and 3 months.
See, I can't do the math in my head. Yeah. So anyway, it's more than 5. So that's a lot of episodes in a row and hosted by this gentleman who has all that information in his head. So let's give a warm welcome to Brian Levine. Hi, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian.
Hello,
Thanks for being
Brian.
here.
Welcome, Brian.
I guarantee you, I guarantee you by having me on, the rest of the year is it's all uphill from here.
Well, oops, that doesn't work. Let me go back over here. Well, welcome. It's good to okay, I got to do that then. Welcome, and it's good to see you. Let's start out. Here was my thought. So in the last 365 weeks, you have interviewed quite a few people. Mm-hmm. And you always have a really great collection of stories to tell about those people that you've interviewed and met and talked with. So I thought we could start off with a little bit of how did 2021 go for you, and who were some of your memorable guests on your show?
Yeah, so let me hijack your club and go in a different direction for a minute, because that's what I do. I'm looking around, and I was watching everybody's introductions, and I was scanning through the different chats here, and who's the guy from Australia? Because what time is it right now in Australia? I mean, good Lord, you're up in the middle of the morning.
It's not too bad, Brian. It's 6:35 a.m.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing I do.
Usually we have Amir with us from Malaysia. It's 2 a.m. his time, and most of the time he is with us.
Yeah.
But today I'm available. It's 1 a.m. here in India.
So we have Asia represented with India and Australia. Sorry, Australia, I don't think you're your own continent, but that's just me politically. Anybody from South America in the group? If you are, pop it in the chat, raise your hand, or do something. Let me know. Europe is well represented. We've got any of my other fellow Jewish brethren. Just raise your hand, wave, or pop it in the chat for me. The beauty of this pipe world that we are in is the diversity that unites us all through this common little thing called the pipe, and how many different cultures, different religions, different ethnicities, we all come together. And my family escaped what was part of Russia, which is now part of Poland, 110 years ago. And we have somebody from Poland here. and Guy is from Israel. So it's just it's an amazing group. And what prompted me to want to do that was this past year of 2021 was kind of for me, it turned into, on the podcast, it turned into the year of the pipe smoker. Mm-hmm. And it did that because I started it off without really doing my normal, my normal trying to rotate through pipe maker, tobacco person, retailer, industry person. I started off with a second version of 7 questions for 7 experts. And those 7 expert pipe smokers include 6 doctors of pipes, 1 master of pipes, average pipe smoking experience of about 35 years. And so you start off with those guys. And then I thought it would be fun to turn the tables and go to the novices. And I was originally looking for 6 or 7, and I ended up, I think, with about 12 or 13 of them. People that are relatively new to the hobby. And I set the limit at 2 to 5 years of pipe smoking experience. I didn't want anything less than 2 years because I felt like if you're under 2 years, you really, who knows if it's going to stick? Who knows if you're going to figure it out? If you're over 5 years, you've got a pretty good experience at that point. And some of the standouts for me was the first one, unfortunately, was a young man named Declan Pollard who lives in Singapore and is in his early 20s and was just eloquent, well thought, deeply thoughtful for somebody his age. And I've commonly told people that I think most men are idiots until they're 30, and then at about age 30, they start to figure it out. Some of us, it takes until you're about 50 to start figuring it out. But Declan was great. Another one that I've had a bit of conversations back and forth with is a chocolatier named Matt Dixon, who he does high grade, handmade, small batches of real chocolate. And you want to talk about similarities, the chocolate world and the tobacco world have a lot of similarities in that he's having to source the right materials. And anyway, just again, one of those guys that, just stumbling around in my normal day, when do you find somebody who is a master chocolatier and is interested in pipes at the same time? So as you kind of go through the past year, it is much more about the people behind the people that are smoking pipes and less about the actual pipes, the actual tobacco. I guess I would, if I had to say I had a favorite episode, if I scrolled back through the list, I would say my favorite episode of all is episode number 440, which aired on February 17th. And that was with a relatively upstart pipe club founder guy named David Dorian. So you can go back and listen to that one. And I think we had fun with that. I got to pick on him about how.
Did you say upstart or pipsqueak?
I said upstart, upstart pipe club, because you guys are only a year. Well, you were only a year old at that point, or less than a year old. But it really was. It was really just a great year of the people, and then I sprinkled in some pipe maker stuff in there and some pipe stuff, tobacco stuff. I started a couple of new series. One is with Rich Esserman, who has been writing about pipes and pipe tobacco and collecting really large pipes for 35, 40 years now. and it, instead of just being a straight interview, those conversations with Rich are more of a discussion. So it's less, he wanted to turn the tables on me the first time. So he started asking me questions. And then the second and third times that he's been back have been more topical discussions, which is a little more interesting at times for me than I'll be honest with you. If I get a pipe maker on there, I can interview any one of you right now as if you're a pipe maker. I know the questions to ask. I know the routine. I know what not to ask. But being able to have that discussion with Rich and develop those. We also started a Ask the Tobacco Blender with Jeremy Reeves. So Jeremy's given us some insight into stuff, including a fascinating discussion on the pH level inside tobacco and what to do with it, and how the pH really affects the blend dramatically, and how they at Cornell and Deal may try to lower and raise the pH to create a different experience. But yeah, this was the year of the pipe smoker, and it was a lot of fun. And now I'm now I'm pushing off into a couple of new projects with some folks that, if they I don't want to announce them to try to do a cliffhanger to keep you all tuning in next week. I don't want to announce them because if they're bad, I don't want to do them. So that's more my thing.
Before we get closer to the cliff there,
yeah,
I would. The thought came up when you were describing the fact that 2021 turned out to be the year of the pipe smoker. Was this I was listening to your running through the tail of it, but did you have a ghost of this idea in mind? And was it perhaps inspired by the fact that we've all been semi-quarantining, cocooning, whatever you want to call it, being very inside rather than going out, and a great time for people to pick up the pipe and to sort of spend time on a solo activity, kind of like that? Am I on the right track at all there?
No, you're giving me way too much credit for planning and thinking that far ahead. What it turned into is, after 400 plus shows and interviewing probably 150 different pipe makers, there's really not much left out there to find pipe maker wise. The pipe maker interviews to me get fairly routine unless we really start getting into some deeper aspects. And I've got a couple of projects coming up that may do that into the depths of pipe making. I've also run out of tobacco industry people that I can talk to that have anything new to say besides coming on and doing a sales pitch. And I really don't want them just coming on and doing a sales pitch. So I wish I could say that I had a master plan for the podcast and had a whole big arc of stuff to come with it, and I can't. I can't say that. Sometimes you just go where your nose points you.
I commend you for your honesty there. But next time we're going to have to get our cues back together. You should have just picked up on that and go, oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, if you want to see, wait, let me get it. Wait, where is it? Hang on. This is a very secret book full of all kinds of show notes for future stuff. Oh, wait, never mind. They're blank.
Well, that's why I love having Brian on. Let me just sort of do a little pause here to open it up to questions and thoughts and comments from everybody here. Of course, that means everybody in the Zoom room right now, you guys know how to act. Just gently ask a question and give way to the next person who has a question. And those of you who are watching over there on Facebook and YouTube, if you have a question or a howdy that you want to pass on to Brian, please just put it in the comments there and I will pass it along to him. But yeah, if you've got a question there, go for it.
And while we're doing that, let me just say, first of all, Miguel, thank you very much for all the shares and tags and highlights on Facebook. You are absolutely wonderful. So thank you. And Dave from Canada said that he was going to be out running his, playing engineer and couldn't be on the live. So I just told him that I'd get my conductor's hat out for him. And so there's a little shout out to Dave as he's running the engine, and this is my old conductor's hat from Disneyland. And apparently leather shrinks. So, or my head's gotten big. But yeah.
Brian, you got I'm definitely want to say I've been enjoying your show for a long time. But I just got to ask a deep question for you. Where do you come up with all the great intro, lines that you have at the very beginning of the show?
from the very twisted, deep, dark 9 inches between these ears. Sometimes I will admit that sometimes I listen to an NPR show called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And it's 3 comedians and a host that talk about the daily news. And lately, I'm a big fan of the Big Bang Theory, the TV show. So as you listen to some of my jokes, those are sometimes things that I might have heard recently. But those are all, that's all out of my head. There's been a couple that I haven't done because I have to moderate myself for the listeners, which is probably proper. Because we have women that listen and we have people that listen while they're around kids. So I've moderated that. And sometimes the joke part at the beginning and the end and figuring out what piece of music, that is more research than the rest of the time it takes to put the show together.
I can second that thought. Many of you know that I do a 2 or 3 times a weekly show on my day job, and coming up with the playlist, the music tracks, and the positive thought for the day always takes 2 or 3 times longer than the other 20 minutes of the half hour. Mm-hmm. That's Brian's right on because, and then again, the music is like one of the most important elements of the stream, right? With a bad playlist can just ruin your whole show, and a good playlist can inspire you to greatness. So,
I'm also careful with the music and with the tone of the jokes, depending on who the guest is, because it can be awfully jarring that if I have somebody like Jody Davis, who is a person of faith and performs in a Christian rock band, and then my jokes and the music is completely off that theme, that can be really jarring to the listeners. So I will try to keep edgier music for edgier guests, edgier jokes for edgier guests, and more dad humor for you just want to really, I actually do spend time. This is where I spend time. I spend time in making sure that the tone of the show is comfortable for the listener. If it's going to be a louder, more upbeat show, then I can be a little more aggressive with some joke stuff. I can be a little more, I can be a little more verbose. I can, one of these days there might be an episode. There might be an episode called "I Died or Won the Lottery," and that would be the last episode of the show because I could unload on stuff, but wouldn't be any fun. It just wouldn't be fun. And then sometimes with the sometimes I pre-record all the guest stuff. So, and I pre-record all the stuff, all the ask the pipe maker, ask Jeremy, that's all pre-recorded. We do them in batches and then I have them. So sometimes I want to find the theme. I might find the theme by listening to the guest, and then I try to tie those the jokes and that music for that week into the basic theme of that guest, if that makes sense. And there's actual thought processes.
There's actual thought process behind it, and that's why Brian has successfully had 9.5 years of the show. I want to invite again you guys for some more questions for Brian, and also those people
Brian,
that are
I have
watching
to say
on
that,
the
in
live
my
stream.
opinion, a best part of your show is balance between being informative and being entertaining. You have just the right balance.
Indeed.
And anybody that is doing any kind of writing, which doing a podcast is a form of writing, I really didn't figure out the thesis statement for the show. And the thesis statement, and I say it in every show, is the sometimes sometimes irreverent, sometimes educational, but always entertaining. That's my thesis statement. And as long as I hit that, everybody should be happy. And everybody should, there is a piece or there is a nugget in every episode that you can take something new home, because we are pipe smokers and we all have really interesting histories. We have interesting backgrounds. We have it's such a personal habit or hobby that we're in, or lifestyle. I'll piss off everybody. I'll call it a personal habit, hobby, lifestyle. That everybody's got their own personal preference. There's something new to learn from everybody. So that's kind of the key to it. I would love to, I've got a couple of guests coming up that are going to be really interesting and less interview, because they've got tons of history. But my goal for this year, and I haven't stated it out loud to anybody, is my goal for this year is to get a known celebrity on the show. I want to get one of these celebrities on the show that smokes a pipe and to come on the show and talk about it. And I've already started copy pasting, email, tweet, direct message, and so on and so on. That's kind of a goal for me. That, and I have in the back of my head, I have a bucket list of people that I want to shake hands with before I die. They're not individual people. It's more people of positions. Like, one of my goals is to actually shake hands with somebody who I know is a knight of the realm of England and has been knighted by the Queen. I just want to say, hey, I shook a knight's hand. Yeah.
These are all doable. These are all things that I think we can make happen there.
Yeah. So if you're a noted celebrity and you're watching this, reach out to me. Or if you are a OBE or CBE, reach out to me. I'll be in England hopefully in the end of April. End of March for at least a day or two.
All right. Well, Ian, you being there in the UK, can you help out? Make that happen? By the way, there's a couple of questions and comments from the YouTube group I wanted to pass on. Stratman says, Brian, I love the episode of you explaining the Lord of the Rings tobacco that they smoked on set. Now, I haven't heard that story. Can you share that?
I can tell that story. And I can tell the verification for it and why I'm pestering Sean Astin's people. So I was working for Peter Stokeby International, the U.S. office here in Charlotte, and we got a phone call from a guy in New Zealand that said he's been trying to find, he's from Los Angeles, but he's in New Zealand working on a movie and has run out of his tobacco. The place that he used to buy the tobacco from said it's Peter Stokeby's PS24 Nougat, and he can't find it anywhere in New Zealand. I said, okay, what do you want? How much do you want? What are you looking for? I can get one of our mail order guys to send it. He said, well, I'm going to be here for 2 years or 3 years, and I got other people smoking it. I think I need at least 10 pounds of it. So, well, all right. So long story short, we ended up selling this guy 40 pounds, which is a master case, 8 5-pound bags of Peter Stokeby's 24 Nougat, and shipping it to him in New Zealand, where he paid for the shipping and all the duties and everything. And we just figured, all right, off it goes. Didn't think anything of it until about 3 years later, I get a call from Rich's pipe shop in Portland, Oregon, saying, we've got a guy in here that was working on a movie in New Zealand, and he said that you guys sent tobacco to him, and he wants to know what it is so that he can buy some from us. I said, I happen to remember that. It was Peter Stokeby's PS24 Nougat. They said, great, we'll call you back. I said, okay, great. Hung up. The next day, Rich's calls back and says that was Sean Astin, who was in town doing something, and said that that's all they smoked when they were doing practical smoking on the set of The Lord of the Rings was the Peter Stokeby 24 Nougat. One of the special effects guys or makeup guys was a pipe smoker, and that's what he smoked, and everybody loved it. So every pipe full on the set was Peter Stokeby's PS24 Nougat, except for when Gandalf did the big sailing ship and the big dragon. That was not our pipe tobacco.
That is a great story. That's great.
Yeah.
And yes, I know Rich's cigar store.
Yeah.
They've been around a long, long time. My father was an actor and director in Portland. I grew up in Portland. And I have some of the old programs from like the 50s. And one of the sponsors in those little programs was Rich's Cigar Store. So they've been around forever. I have been told, however, I've been in the store fairly recently, and they have a modest pipe section. So it's worthwhile going in if you're in Portland. But I have been told by my new neighbors up here in Seattle that they are not particularly nice to Seattleites. So I'm going to have to figure out my loyalties there pretty soon.
I think, isn't there a tax advantage back and forth between you guys where one doesn't pay sales tax and all that bullshit?
That is true. There's no sales tax in Oregon. And people who live on the border in Vancouver, Washington, just, anything they want to buy, anything. If they want to buy a car or a washing machine or, a pipe, they'll come over to the border to Portland and go shopping.
Yeah. That's like everybody in Massachusetts goes over the border to New Hampshire to make all their key purchases and then scurries back.
Yep. Got another question from the YouTube group. Rich asks, would you ask Brian if this past year he has had new acquisitions in your Disney briar pipes and also the current state of Disney tobacco artifacts online? I guess so that they could ramp up their competition there.
So yeah, Rich, I have about on eBay, I have about 14 different daily searches that I get. I have about eight Google searches that I get alerted to, and I keep an eye out on stuff. If you'll recent purchases, pipe-wise, there hasn't been much, but bear with me. I'll grab a couple things.
By the way, I think this is a great question because if you were watching, Brian has been down at his, I guess his annual pilgrimage to Disney. So I'm curious about if you made any acquisitions down there.
No acquisitions down there because you can't even smoke inside the parks anymore, the communist rat bastards. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? So most of this stuff is on the, if you're on Facebook, go to the Disney Tobacciana collection. Some of the stuff is on there. Earlier, somebody was talking about a Prince Albert. This one is just a can with a barcode on the side. But what got me excited about it was the $1.20 Mickey Mouse price tag. So this was actually sold at a Disney park somewhere, either California or Orlando. Hard to tell. I can tell it was pre-1984 because it says Walt Disney Productions on it. The other thing that I found was, and I have no use for it except I've already got one, but it's a Hawk pipe reamer in the case with the original pipe, with the original pipe cleaners. It's an unused pipe reamer. And when I mean well, maybe it was used once because it's got just a little bit of crud on it. But of course, the part that got me excited was on the bottom of the case was a Walt Disney World $6 price tag.
Wow.
So that'll give you an idea. And then the other thing that I got that was fun, and I'll give you a preview. I talked to the people about this when I recorded their interview yesterday. What's today? And their show will come out on Tuesday. But cardboard outer box, just a blank cardboard, and inside of it is a Missouri meerschaum on a plaque. And let's get the plaque so that you guys can see what it says. But it's just a big corncob pipe. And according to Phil Morgan, because it's got the engraved cap bottom, it's really old. So that's not a sticker on the bottom that says Missouri Meerschaum. That's the plug on the bottom that's been engraved. And of course, the part that got me excited was the $15 Mickey Mouse price tag. So this was sold at Walt Disney World. And this is from this has got to be late 70s.
Yeah, I have one of those, not from Disney World, but I have exactly the same pipe with a plug. And again, it's just as old as yours.
Yeah. So those are the fun things that, that get me excited. Pipe-wise, there hasn't been much that I can think of in the past year. But pipe accessory-wise, yeah. I found a few toys. For a while, I was chasing after matchbooks, and then I stopped because I ended up with about 35 different Walt Disney World or Disneyland style matchbooks, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to collect all these because what am I going to do? What am I going to do with them? Except look at them. But yeah, go on to the Disney Tobacciana collection on Facebook. I need to make sure and go back and see if everything is up on there. I've got I got an article that talked about the closing of the store at Disneyland from in May of 1990. It's a Disney employee newsletter, and I got that issue that had that discussion in there.
Brian, what about, because we forgot to ask you, in our ritual about what you might be smoking today. But so let's just turn it into what have you been smoking in 2021?
I am such a creature of habit. So this is the McClellan's Acadian Ribbon that I smoke, and I'm now limiting myself to 1 50-gram tin per week. These were all canned in 2006. I've got some that was canned in 2017, and it's still aging. I've got a real narrow wheelhouse of pipes. One of the things that has happened last year, the auction of the super high end, very large estate, the Taurus auctions that has been going on. I was able to pick up 8 or 9 pipes out of there that actually stayed with me. This is one of them. It's a Jody Davis Saint grade, which is his second to almost highest grade pipe. And yeah, I know Jody, I love him dearly, but there's no way I would pay. Yeah, this is like a $2,500 pipe brand new, and I was able to get it on the auction and absolutely love it. I was able to expand my Sato collection because there was 4 that I ended up getting out of those auctions, and then a couple more came up. So that's maybe I think one of my goals for when pipe shows come back is to start looking for some other pipe brands and kind of diversify a little bit, because right now I'm kind of a lot of Satos and a lot of the American artisans, and that's where I'm kind of stuck. And I would love to go out, and I really want to take a look at what Peterson's been doing and pick up one of the newer pieces, but I want to touch them and feel them before I go and buy them. Because I'm really impressed with what I've seen them do. But again, I want to pick them up, touch them, and feel them.
Yeah, Brian, that's a new sandblast process. Peterson using is amazing with the deep sandblast. Those are beautiful pipes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian, this is. Please continue.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is Ramachandran from India. Couple of things I wanted to know. Since you have got such a long history of 9.5 years speaking to people, questioning them, interviewing them, is there any one specific meeting which is the most memorable one, which immediately comes to your mind? And secondly, which person is the most sought after person, or you look forward whenever you get an opportunity to interview and speak?
Boy, the first one that always the one that surprised me the most was when I interviewed Makis Minetos from the Briar Greek Cutter. The passion and the passion for the process and the passion for his company and for what he puts out was just incredible. And then the way he kind of described their briar cutting process was just caught me completely off guard, and I really enjoyed it. Who do I look forward to? Yeah, I've got to say there's nobody that I don't look forward to having on the show, because if I don't look forward to having them on the show, they don't get on the show. There's a very small list of those people. The ones that I look forward to the most are the ones that I don't know anything about. And I'm just going in blind and knowing that they're a pipe smoker, because then I know I'm going to learn something. I know that I'm going to find out something about I'm going to find an interesting person, and I'm going to learn something new. I like the ones where I get to learn something new along with everybody. And to go along with the fact that I don't really storyboard I don't have a storyboard for the show or an outline of where the show is going. I have some basic questions when I do these interviews, but I really just want to listen and kind of follow and respond to what they've said. And I don't want to get stuck just going through bullet points and reading off a list of questions. So I really like the ones where I just end up going, well, oh, good Lord, I've got to finish. We've gone, time's up. Fast 5 final questions. Here you go. Yeah.
So that seems like a great segue into talking about some of the people that you have had on your show that you can name this past year. I really resonate with what you're saying about having a guest on the show that you just learn from. And with all seriousness, I'm just sitting here with my mouth open, listening to all the stuff you're sharing with us. But what about guests in 2021? In addition to the people that were the pipe smokers that you interviewed, who else did you have on the show this year?
Well, it was fascinating because it started off with a guy who's an expert in Tai Chi and is world class, world renowned in this ancient art, and yet he's wider than the Pillsbury Doughboy, but yet world class in what it is, and you just learn. I learned stuff about people. If you go back to the original, to the second version of the 7 questions for 7 experts, I thought I knew what all the answers were going to be with all those experts going in, and there were some surprises to me. The one thing that surprised me the most out of talking to those 7 experts was they couldn't just live off of one tobacco. They all needed to have different blends. One of the questions was, if you're, would your ideal tobacco seller be 100 tins of one, or 2 tins, 50 tins of 2 different blends, or how would you break it up? And I was really surprised at how many of them wanted to break it up into at least 4 or 8 different tobaccos, and that they couldn't just live off of 1 or 2. Again, I would say go back and listen to most of the novice pipe smokers. They all have some sort of interesting story behind them. And I don't think I don't think boring people are drawn to the pipe. I think people that are drawn to the pipe are people that are interested in other things and have deep interests in other things. I'd be willing to bet that all of us here have some other unique passion that is just not your standard commonplace, your standard commonplace hobbies. I'm sure there's some golfers here, but that's the dumbest, most frustrating sport I've ever seen, because you're out on a very big park with a little tiny ball and even a smaller stick to hit it with. But I'd guarantee you that there are golfers here who have traveled the world to go play at unique golf courses and experience different golf courses. We're just not boring. We just think more. I feel like, here's an upcoming rant. I feel like we think more than the cigar smokers do. We have deeper thoughts about stuff than cigar smokers do. We have dramatically deeper thoughts than non-smokers do. I don't think there's, on average, if you looked at the non-smoking population, I think they're all pretty much, shallow thinkers, including some that I'm related to. But that's really if you go back through the entire history of the Pipes Magazine radio show, I think you will find out that there has been 2 uninteresting people. One of them was a lady that was making smoking jackets. And the other one was a pipe maker that I just had to, I just had to pull information out of him. It just wasn't his thing. And I probably should have shouldn't have put the show out, because it's better to be nothing at all than bad, if that makes sense. I did do some numbers though recently, just for fun. If you want, 6 million hours of playback.
Whoa.
The podcast has been played back for over 6 million hours. And that's just all the files that have been downloaded over the time and then played. It's been over 6 million hours of playback.
I think I need to talk to John David about an award for the podcast. That's awesome. That's impressive.
Oh, and here, look, see what I'm wearing my Country Squire t-shirt today.
Oh yeah. I was wondering, because I only saw the top of it. I was going to ask you to see what that is.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that I love all the other guys that are doing their podcasts, because it gives me ideas, because I get to listen to what they're doing and I get to kind of do sometimes I get an idea from them, and then 4 weeks later I'm doing my version of what they just did. So yeah, all the other podcasts out there, it's a lot I listen to them. Some of them I listen to more actively than the others, but I look forward to them.
Well, what is the change that you have witnessed in the last 9.5 years in the profile of a pipe smoker?
Say that one more time for me.
Now, what's the change which you have seen in the profile of a pipe smoker in the last 9.5 years, which is a pretty long time?
Yeah.
I mean,
the new pipe smoker knows a whole lot more than the new pipe smoker used to know. The new pipe smoker is way more informed than the new pipe smoker of 10 years ago versus a new pipe smoker now. The newer pipe smokers now are way more informed. They have more knowledge. They have more resources. They know they have jumped a learning curve that even if you go back 25 years ago, a pipe smoker that's been on that watches some of the YouTube channels, listens to podcasts, and reads online stuff, you do that for a year, you've got 10 years worth of information. So they are way more informed. So with that, because knowledge becomes power, they are a much more powerful pipe smoker than what was happening when I was breaking in 28, 30 years ago, when you had to go to pipe shows and you had to go to numerous pipe shops. And even if you went, like with David Dorian, if he went into Rich's in Portland, all he was going to learn was Rich's point of view of the pipe world. Well, now you can go online and get 20 different points of view, and they're all right, but you can get that information, put it together, and become your own pipe smoker. I've said this before. It took me from 1996 until about 2003 or 4 to really fully develop my personal pipe smoking style. And it was because I was listening and taking bits and pieces from different people. Well, now you don't have to wait and do trade shows and do pipe shows and go into retail and hear all these different stories. You can just go online and start looking up, pipe packing techniques, and you get 100 different videos on it. So it's a much more powerful, much more knowledgeable pipe smoker.
So I'm curious, the thought just came to me. What do you think is missing in the pipe smoking lifestyle or business landscape, community? Because this question comes up, like Ramachandran asks, and quite frequently somebody will ask about the future of pipe smoking and tobacco and whatnot. And I tend to look at it in a slightly different way as a business owner, that there's the things that are volatile are also areas of opportunity if you could figure out what the missing piece is. What do you think? What's the missing piece in the pipe world?
For me, the missing piece right now is the extremely vocal minority. And the reason I say that is because all legislation, the biggest enemy of the pipe and tobacco world is governments. And I'm not just going to say one government. I'm going to say all governments, because there is not a government in this world, except for maybe the French, that have any respect for smokers. Love the French. If I was going to move to another country, I'd move to France, except I'd have to learn French, which would probably end up with me getting insulted several times a day. But every government wants to squash tobacco. They want to tax it, milk it, end it, limit it, restrict it, whatever it is, they want to impact tobacco. The vocal minority that I'm talking about is separating us, but yet still staying aligned with cigarettes, because cigarettes are so much bigger. I've used this analogy several times, that when there's a big game hunter and he's out in Africa on the Serengeti or wherever, and he's hunting an elephant and he wants to kill that elephant is the cigarette industry. And on the back of that elephant somewhere that nobody really sees is this mouse running around, and that mouse is the cigar industry. And on that mouse is a flea. And the flea is the pipe tobacco world. So that's the economy of scales, all right? Cigarettes are the elephant, cigars are the mouse, we're the flea on the mouse. Well, when the big game hunter shoots the elephant and kills it, and it falls over and squishes the mouse, nobody knows about the mouse, and even further, nobody knows about the flea that's on there. So we need to separate ourselves as a very vocal minority that enjoy an adult product, and we enjoy it reasonably, and we understand the impacts that it possibly could have, but it's dramatically different than mainlining 20 cigarettes a day. It's a different impact. So we need to be that vocal minority that says, hey, if, we understand, drinking a liter of vodka a day is bad, but if you're having a glass or two of wine every night at dinner, that's not bad. So separate it and become a very vocal minority of people that enjoy relaxing with a pipe and tobacco. Otherwise, we're just going to get killed. We don't have the money, we don't have the strength, we don't have the wherewithal to continue to go after a government. Our lobby is hysterically poor here in the U.S. $7, $8, $9 million a year for the cigar industry. The pipe and tobacco industry, I believe it's probably $70,000, $80,000. Because our industry is just that much smaller. There's the doomsday report.
Brian, is the fact that if you want to go to France, go to Spain, because the taxes are way cheaper than in France. And a lot of people from southern France cross across the Pyrenees to go to the tobacco in Spain. Like, just to give you an example, Capstan, it's like $7.
Yo hablo un poquito de español.
Okay. So
yo hablo poquito mexicano.
If you want to go to the south of France to be able to cross for like maybe 30 miles and get cheaper tobaccos there.
Yeah. I've purchased, my entire times in Spain have been spent in the airports, where the duty-free shops are just fantastic.
Well, I flew back from Spain a couple of weeks ago, and all what they got, it was Borken Reef, delightful unicorn, and couple nasty McBarons like original choice or cherry one. So that's all what you get.
Yeah. But you can still, I'm not, having not spent any time in Spain, I can, well, hopefully we'll be there for a day. I can say that the respect amongst the French population of respect to smokers that are sitting outside at a cafe. If you did that, if you did that in the United States, if you're sitting outside smoking, you'd have people walking around you like you were either a terrorist or a leper. They'd be walking around you, staring at you, coughing the whole time.
Starting and shaking their hands like, oof.
Yeah.
It happens to me. Actually, unfortunately, unless you move to France quickly, that's happening everywhere. At the patios or terrace or outside of the bars, they're not allowed to smoke anymore just because of the COVID. Doesn't matter, Italy, Spain, France, or Portugal. And one time when I was at the Fiumicino in Rome, when you arrive to the airport, you have to get the train to get into the city.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Outside, the train was going to come about 45 minutes of waiting. So I just light up my pipe. And of course, quickly I have two people telling me what to do with my life. And I'm talking about the 90s.
Yeah, see, I was in Italy in September, and Italy and Greece in September, and I didn't have any problem smoking anywhere I wanted to, and it was really nice. They didn't even bother me about my pipe when we were sitting at a little sidewalk cafe in Rome, and I thought, okay, I can stay here for a while. Venice was beautiful. Nobody bothered me. The weather was terrible. It was windy, so it wasn't great pipe smoking weather, but I was able to huddle in a couple of corners, light my pipe, and then hold my hand over the top of it like this so that all my ashes weren't blowing down the road at people. But that wasn't too bad. But you're right. We are seeing changes. The one thing I've also kept the Pipes Magazine radio show as a positive escape. I refused. I used Rush Limbaugh as an example where I refused to be the angry guy on the podcast ranting and raving for a couple hours a week. One, because I don't like doing that. Two, it's bad for you. But I also wanted the show to be a positive escape. So once or twice a year, I talk about legislative things that need to be mentioned. Maybe every other year, I remind people, especially around elections here in the U.S., let your elected officials know that you smoke a pipe, you enjoy a pipe, and to leave smoking alone. But the rest of the time, I really want it to be a positive, upbeat escape for everybody to come and sit down and gather and join. Nobody would want to come on this. None of you would look forward to coming here each week and hanging out and talking to each other if everybody was just bitching about their wives and government and taxes. Yeah. And those are all three things that are okay to bitch about, but don't do it all the time.
Yeah, we have a very similar philosophy here.
Yeah.
I've done my best to do a little Tai Chi when the tendency goes towards, and the club members know this. So we don't like blind ourselves to the major issues of the day, but we don't need to be a soapbox for them either on either side. We tend to stay away from, misogynistic jokes. And I point that out because that's not the case in some of the other clubs that I've visited.
Yeah, until it's time for us to go actually be with our families, after hiding for a couple hours and doing chats and stuff like that. But no, over the years, I've had some really touching emails from show listeners. And it's reminded me to keep the show as a positive escape. The one that I've talked about most often was I got an email from a member of the U.S. military who was stationed in Afghanistan, and he wanted to thank me for the podcast and how much and how important it was to him that he would, that he would, when he got internet access, would download the new episode and then wait until his 3 other buddies all 4 of them were off duty and available for an hour, and they'd sit around an iPod and play it back and smoke their pipes, and it would take them completely away from Afghanistan and what they were doing for an hour, and how important that hour each week was for them. So you hear stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, it's amazing. I'm sitting here with a silly little microphone and a notepad of ideas, and then out there in the world, I'm, helping people escape from their problems. But that's the idea of the podcast. Yep. And that's the idea of the pipe too.
Have you tried to interview them?
I did reach out to them. They were not open to coming on and talking about where they were and what they were doing, and I left it at that. And then at the same time, when that email came in, that was several years ago, and I wasn't really talking. I hadn't opened up the idea like last year of just bringing on regular new pipe smokers and hearing regular pipe smoker stories. Back then it was all industry people or noted hobbyists and so on and so on.
Brian, I have a question. It just came in from YouTube about another aspect of the pipe industry, the pipe world, and that is some mergers and acquisitions that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's sort of a standard point of view about mergers and acquisitions in a sort of a capitalist economy, but I'd love to hear, your insider view on that.
So I see is that from Matt?
Yeah.
Matt said, I think I read that McBaron bought A&C Peterson. McBaron did not buy A&C Peterson. A&C Peterson was bought in 2000 by what was then Orlik Tobacco, which is part of the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. So it's part of the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. Tobacco Pipes was purchased by the Sutliff McBaron Group. And that kind of goes along with the fact that every large manufacturer or every large supplier also owns a retail outlet. So if you look at it as Scandinavian Tobacco Group, which is Lane Limited and Orlik and Peter Stokeby and A&C Peterson, they own pipesandscigars.com through their other companies. Laudisi owns smokingpipes.com, Peterson Pipes, and Cornell and Deal. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any others before I go on to. So McBaron, through their Sutliff subsidiary, bought tobaccopipes.com. And I knew of that one. I don't know. I had heard the Cup of Joe's was purchased, but I don't know who bought them. If anybody knows, let me know. I'm kind of interested, but I haven't also done any Google searches on it either. It's inevitable. I guess it's part of the open capitalist society. McBaron bought the Planta Tobacco Company recently, and Per Jensen moved to Germany to head up sales for them. I talked to Per. He said they didn't get much of a Christmas break because they were so busy that he was on the packaging line, and then they had to finally shut down. So he was packing tobaccos. And the last time he had to pack an item was when was in his dad's pipe factory. So he was a little bit younger then. I think his knees were bothering him. The consolidation of ownerships, it's just a natural thing. As companies get bigger and bigger, companies need to acquire more businesses and keep growing and growing and growing. And as they get bigger and bigger, it makes it easier for somebody on an upstart side to come in and whittle away at them and bring them down. Look at the very large companies of the early 1900s in the US. They're all completely different than the very large companies that are now. So let it consolidate. I'd love to figure out who bought Cup of Joe's though. Because I can't imagine any of the other big tobacco companies doing it. I think I figured out who it was. That was quick. It was the Sutliff McBaron Group. Because it's showing up as, okay, so they bought both of them.
Wow, that's awesome. That explains a couple of things. We wanted to have Kathy on last year, and she said, "Yeah, I'd love to be on," but they had so much else going on, and we're trying to figure out not holidays. What's going? That explains it.
I think if I can interject there, I think they only bought the online side of the company. But I think the shop is still run by Kathy. I think I may not be right on that, but that's what I think I heard.
Yeah, so that would make sense because that was the same deal that pipesandcigars.com had with Scandinavian Tobacco Group, that Scotty Bendett, who owned Pipes and Cigars, sold the website but kept all the Habana premium pipe and cigar shops in Albany. And Kathy's too young to retire, so and honestly, there's not much value in a brick and mortar pipe and tobacco shop unless you want a place where you can spend your time smoking and hang out and have your friends come in and hang out with you and hope they leave money at the register on the way out.
Yeah.
Well, thing is, the pipe and tobacco industry is very different from most others. And I don't know anybody who been successful in tobacco industry if they in it for money. People in tobacco and pipe industry actually have great respect for the product, for everybody who work in the industry. And that's why in many cases, these mergers are actually positive things. People are really dedicated to their customers, dedicated to the product, and in many cases, they actually save product which would die otherwise.
I mean, if you think about it, the tobacco economy is a mixture of losers. So in the beginning, it's an agricultural product, and it's a small business agricultural product, which is a financial loser. On the retail side, the shops are closing left and right, partly because of the challenges of the government regulations, partly because, like there's not enough customer base to, buy pipes and premium pipe tobacco. And then on the wholesale side, as Brian was pointing out, you just have to keep getting bigger and bigger. You have to grow or die. And it's like, that's a pretty hot mess right there. So we have to do it for the love.
I think probably the biggest aspect of why the B&Ms are going out of business is the advent of internet purchase. The ironic thing is that might get closed down. A lot of countries now in Europe are not allowed to sell tobacco online, and it may well help a resurgence of B&Ms, of brick and mortars. I hope that does happen, but I think that still, here in the UK, the B&Ms have been decimated. There's literally a handful of shops left in the country. Interestingly, there are one or two companies who are expanding. Tomius, they've opened a bunch of new shops recently. They've just opened another shop near Leeds. So it's nice to see that happening. But I think the internet is really the biggest culprit for the demise of B&Ms. Certainly what you're saying as well, but I think the internet has really been the biggest issue. Obviously the decline of the hobby as well. But I think that's seen a resurgence as well overall. But hopefully we'll get to see if internet sales does get sort of contracted throughout the world, then maybe shops will start to open again if legislation isn't increased even more to restrict B&Ms as well. I mean, if they're really just going to put a stranglehold on the whole industry, then our days might be numbered there.
I actually have a slightly different opinion on that, and I am the leading expert on my own opinion.
Of course
there's two parts that the brick and mortars have done. The brick and mortar problem is more a local legislation problem, because if you have the ability to allow smoking in your store, you have the ability to create a place for smokers to come to congregate and do business. However,
at the moment,
and then you add on to that, the other problem that I've seen is brick and mortars that don't know how to handle that, and they handle it incorrectly. There's several brick and mortars that I know of, mostly on the cigar side, that are succeeding in this industry because they are providing a full service experience inside their smoke shops. If you're in South Florida and you go to any of the smoke inns, he has places for you to come and sit and smoke a cigar. He has a full coffee and wine bar. He's created a full service environment for you to come to. And he knows that he can't compete on the price of boxes of cigars on the internet, but what he can compete on is service, atmosphere, and location.
It'd be interesting to know where he makes the most of his money. Does he charge for the wine and for the bar and all of that?
Yeah, and he charges for the drinks and everything. He doesn't charge a super premium price for them, but yeah.
So it's not for cigars that he's making the money though.
The idea is get the people in to smoke the cigars, make them stay for another cigar by selling them a reasonably priced drink.
All right, okay.
Well, from my experience with the different brick and mortars, I can tell that a lot of time people go in just for the whole experience, interaction with other people. Very important is knowledgeable staff, people who really know their product. I know some brick and mortar stores which are just there to make money, to sell stuff, and they know very little about their product. But there are some really good ones where you can talk to people. They, especially with the regular customers, they know you. They know what you usually smoke, what you usually prefer. They, when they get something new, they recommend you, knowing your preferences. They're not trying to make a sale, not trying to sell you most expensive item. They just want you to come back. They want to sell you something that you really enjoy. And those are successful ones.
This is a...
well, I do concede.
Let me, Ramachandran, I'll come back to you in a second there, because I'm just looking at the clock, and this is about the time every week. And for those of you who don't remember, because we've been off so long, I'll just remind you that about this time I start to wind down and let everybody know about what's coming up. But don't go away yet. Ramachandran's going to be right back with his comment, and also we still have time left with our special guest. But before you go, I just want to remind you that we do have other guests coming up. I don't have a full schedule that I can announce yet, but some of the people that I've already talked to are Chris Kelly from Eldridge Pipes. We talked to the folks down at Missouri Meerschaum about doing a virtual tour of the factory. Kathy from Cup of Joe's, where we talked to last year, and now for sure I've got to get her on so that we can talk about all this. And the people that we've been mentioning from tobaccopipes.com /Sutliff also to come back. That's just a few of the people that we've got coming back on. In case you tuned in a little bit late, we're back after a several-week hiatus from the holidays, but starting today, we're back on our regular weekly meeting schedule, and so I'm really pleased to see everybody back. And mark your calendars for next week and all the weeks after. Okay, now I apologize, Ramachandran, for interrupting you. I'm going to
No
go
problem.
right back to you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, I fully empathize with the concerns of brick and mortar stores. I mean, it had existed and got the old world charm. But now the technology has taken over, not only in pipe and cigar, but in every phase of life. It's now become a part of our daily, day-to-day life. And especially for people like me in India and many of the new pipe smokers, online stores is the only option for us to buy and, enjoy this hobby. So if there is an onslaught on these online stores, I mean, I don't want the BM store to die or go out of business. I think there should be a level playing field for both the formats to exist and give the best to everyone. I mean, no one format is better than the other, or no one format is killing. I mean, there's always a force of disruption. A new technology always disrupts what has been existing for such a long time. So in this case, the BM is probably giving way to online stores. But I think killing the online stores is not an option. I mean, they both should exist, catering to the respective clients. I hope you agree.
I believe I am a raging libertarian. So let me just state that by saying that I believe that if there is a product out there and you are allowed to purchase it, you should be able to use it however you like. I really don't care. Just don't go drunk driving or what. Yeah, I'll pick on the clove cigarettes, which were a fad, which the government got shut down here. I couldn't stand the smell of it because it smelled like I was in either a hippie den or a prostitute, or a dance club or something, because the smell just gave me a headache real quick. But I moved away from them. I think it's cyclical. So what we're seeing now is brick and mortars. The smart ones will expand and survive and get bigger and better. The older ones that couldn't adapt are dropping off. But yet you have brilliant ones like the guys at Watch City Cigar in Massachusetts and the guys at LJ Peretti who are thriving in this because they adapted a internet profile as well. Even though they can't sell flavored tobaccos in their own walk-in stores because of the state of Massachusetts laws, they've adapted and they can sell flavored ones outside of the state, but they still have a thriving business inside the state. So they're adapting, and it's just cyclical. I don't think the tobacco industry will ever completely go away. I don't think that'll ever happen. Who would have thought when I was born, marijuana was just made illegal, and now marijuana is more popular than cigar smoking. And the marijuana market is bigger than the cigar market is. So it's cyclical. Just hold on for the ride. Do I miss my times of hanging out at the smoke shops and listening to stories of the old guys? You got it. But I think the pandemic has actually helped us in connecting in ways because you get the virtual pipe club. I've got a Zoom group that I'm a member of that gets together once a week. There's other Zoom groups. So in some ways, it's changed how we connect, but it's probably increased consumption, which is always good for all parts of the business.
Right.
We've been actually told that by a number of the guests that we've had on that, like you say, we're certainly not the only online pipe group. We may have been one of the very first, but maybe not even the first, but the collective accessibility of communing about this has increased consumption, has increased popularity. I love your idea about becoming a vocal minority. I know exactly what you mean. and that is a side of the lobby that's an opportunity. I think we can do that. Brian, I have one more question for you as we get down towards the end of the time today. So the first show of the year has been announced in St. Louis. I'm not going to that one, but I'm hopeful that Chicago will be up and running, that West Coast will be up and. Got any plans to go to any of the shows this year, and which ones are you looking forward to?
So the three that I target each year is Chicago, Columbus, Las Vegas. Those are the three that I target going to. And if they are operating, I will be there. Now we have to wait and make sure that they are operating. Columbus last year was absolutely great. I can tell you right now, because I know nobody's listening to me. I went to the Columbus Pipe Show with just the idea of being around friends. By the time I walked onto the show floor on Friday afternoon, I had spent $310 on 25 tins of tobacco. And I sent 10 of those tins to Steve Fallon, the pipe stud. He sold those 10 tins for more than I paid for all of the tins combined. So the other ones are absolutely free, and they're all old and wonderful. So you can find stuff at pipe shows still that you would never expect. You can build up your tobacco sellers by going to pipe shows and finding guys that are selling tins for 10, 20 bucks, and they might be 15 years old, and grab them. And they're, usually tax free too, because it's usually some guy that's just clearing out his cellar or something. Chicago, I have not had a full Chicago pipe show since 2017 because I had children graduating from college on that same weekend. So I am starving for a 5-day Chicago pipe show. Now, here's the question that everybody always asks me. If you can only do one pipe show a year, which one would I do? And I'll go ahead and answer it before everybody asks that. I would do the West Coast Pipe Show in Las Vegas. And I would do that one because you can literally get there on Thursday, hang out with pipe guys, usually on Thursday night and Friday night. And then the show is all day Saturday and Sunday. And in the past, you have been allowed to smoke on the show floor. And I know that's one of their requirements. So it is the only pipe show besides St. Louis that I know of where you can actually smoke on the floor of the show. And the Palace Station offers a decent hotel. I used to live in Las Vegas. I did travel for a couple of years. Travel bookings. You can stay at the Palace Station. You got good restaurants right there. It's clean, safe, relatively inexpensive. And then you can go to the Strip for a couple hours if you want to. So that would be my one show. Before DDR drops the hammer on the show, I do want to say that in the past 6 weeks, I have had an increased amount of emails, comments, and chatter on the podcast. And a normal week for me is 3 to 5 emails or comments back on the show. In the past 6 weeks, I've been averaging about 20 per show. So that increased chatter from a bunch of new voices really encourages me that there are new people that are finding pipes and tobaccos on YouTube and wherever they're finding them. And now they're coming and discovering podcasts as well. So that is really inspiring. And most of them are under 40 years old. And that is even better because that's long-term strength for the hobby or the lifestyle. I'm a lifestyle person, or I'm a lifestyle smoker and a hobby pipe collector. So, yeah, it's just encouraging. Keeps me going.
Well, on that note, a note of encouragement, a note of we can count on Brian being here all of this coming year. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring us to a close. For those of you who maybe are new to Brian and the Pipes Magazine radio show, Brian, where can they find it? Where can they listen to it live? And coming up there.
Ooh, somebody was excited. So you can never listen to it live. It's a podcast. It's all pre-recorded. New ones are uploaded every Tuesday.
Hello guys, I have been sleeping in the woods and I've been up here. How am I here?
I don't like black people.
Shut the fuck up, you nasty bitch. I don't.
Oh, we've been.
How the hell am I here?
Shut the fuck up, you nasty bitch. I don't know how the fuck you jumping my.
The one you said it's my people.
You dirty bitch.
Why you mute me?
Looking ass nigga named Miss Mary. Shut your whole bitch ass up, you ugly ass nigga. You dirty as shit, bitch. I don't get a flame in your dirty ass, you greasy cheese.
Well, that was exciting.
Going off. With a Down syndrome, you fat as shit, bitch. Shut your weird ass up, bitch. You better shut your nasty ass up, bitch, because you house kicking kung fu panic. You fat bitch. Mary, shut your nasty bitch. You look like you like where you fucking mama said. You little dirty bitch. Shut your stupid ass up, bitch. What's wrong with your stupid ass? Do y'all niggas have anything to say?
Shut the fuck up, nigga. I think someone took too personally about criticizing their wife or something.
This has happened to us only once before. And we'll just take that as a not a commentary on our guest today, but just the fact that some people just don't have enough to do with themselves, apparently.
I have a question, guys.
We're going to go ahead and say good afternoon. We'll be posting it on the Pipe Club about where you can listen to the Pipes Magazine radio show, and give a great thank you to Brian for having been here. So love you guys. Be well. And I will see you guys next week. I just go ahead and shut off the Zoom meeting, the Zoom room. If any of you guys are over there watching the Zoom room and switched over to the live stream, like I said before, that has only happened once before, and it all comes from YouTube. So it's just an indication that our YouTube channel is so popular that even the hackers want to be a part of it. Thank you guys for being here once again. Maybe we need a resurgence of private members clubs. Yeah. We have other ways of limiting that, and we're going to go ahead and put them in. Like I said, I just got the computer set up yesterday in the new house, and so we'll figure that out. But have a great week, you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week, along with all the people in the Zoom room and our guests this week. Brian Levine, I know that you typically have YouTube on at the same time when we're doing the show. So if you're still there, thank you, my brother. I really appreciate that you made time for us today, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.